Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're taking a look here, of course, at Bitcoin. Just a quick peek at what's going on more so on the shorter time frames, right? Because over the weekend we saw a slight increase, of course, but kind of a manipulated weekend. I'll talk about that here more so in a moment, but a lot of aggressive candle wicks up and down and just some really unfortunate stuff. Again, depending on how tight you're trading, it'll determine obviously what your plans are and essentially how you are affected. But moving forward, we want to kind of try to circumvent that, hopefully have some nice, clean, open waters, if you will. I don't really think that's the case, honestly. I think we're going to see a weird week here this week because things are kind of all over the place. I'll talk about that here and much more. So just know, if you are new to the channel, I love teaching people to trade. I've been trading for a very long time, almost 18 years now, and teaching just as long. So I hope that you can learn something here today. You want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site. Link down below. You can essentially just use my resources that I have. We're going to bring some really awesome data here too as well from Trading Blog, which is just a lot of detailed information outside of the charts that you can normally see. A lot of stuff that kind of adds up together to kind of help you become essentially a better trader. But in the meantime, take a quick look at this here. This is Andy essentially. We're looking at this here with a Gala short, nice 15% for 12x, BNB long 15x, and of course a Bitcoin long as well. And this is just a recent trade that one of my traders had taken, and this guy's back in the saddle. Love to see it. He's been with us for quite some time, so again, welcome back there, for lack of better terms, and keep the good work. Same thing with Alexandru, of course, and Adiko here, making the best out of the weekend, right? Because again, this weekend was kind of ugly depending on what you were trading. A lot of altcoins kind of bled out, while Bitcoin kind of just went stuck sideways on stupid. So again, hopefully we're going to see that break to the upside here soon, but generally speaking, really awesome positive stuff there. So keep up the great work to my community. And again, if you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site where you can register, and obviously be sure to reference our sponsor page here, because we got a lot of different competitions and trading bonuses with each one of these exchanges, and just some ultimately awesome situations here. Again, we use Cornix for automated trading. We're actually bringing some new day trades to the equation here soon. Very excited about that. That'll be a new feature, of course, and it's overall going to be an excellent benefit to our community. So again, with Bitcoin here, what I want to talk about is a handful of small things. First of all, why don't we take a quick peek at HyblockCapital here and kind of get perspective on what's going on in the last 12 hours here, because we can kind of see with some of these positions that there's more open interest at 22,400. So that's a good sign. It tells us that there's more positions opening up here in the relative recent past. We can also see a lot of liquidation as per usual, right? And when it comes to liquidation levels, when you kind of look at some of these things here, the best thing to understand is that they're typically represented as support and resistance levels. Okay, so a lot of what we see here with these recent liquidations at 22,500, that tells us that shorts are getting liquidated and the price is coming up. Okay, that does reiterate the fact that there's going to be support levels once we pass that level. So 22.4, 22.5, that should be a new support level. Okay. Again, it's not guaranteed. It definitely doesn't always work out that way, but it's helpful to understand where a lot of money is coming in and coming out. And if you can see here, 22,800 is another area, another hot zone. So there's a good chance that we're going to see some resistance at 22,800. Okay, so if we break through 22.8, there will likely be a short squeeze and the price will continue further. That's what we're hoping for ultimately, as far as as long as you are not shorting the market right now. All right, so another thing we want to kind of take a look at here as well is just a small handful of things. First of all, fear and greed index is at 48. Okay, so that's pretty much fairly neutral for the most part. It's good to see when fear and greed index is kind of in this yellow zone, because then you don't have as much fear of the price dropping, but also significantly increasing, kind of more of a neutral zone. And to me, that's positive, because if you can see here, summer of last year was pretty rough, and of course we see a lot of red here in the relative recent past. So the last year has not been great. We're starting to kind of get past that now, which is good, but you can tell that with open interest and everything being the way that it is, it's still fairly low. And let's talk about that a little bit here. When it comes to open interest, when open interest is high and the price is increasing, or open interest is increasing, price increasing, it usually tells us we're bullish, right? So right now open interest is down and the price is coming up. what that typically represents is that there could be a shift in momentum in the future. We'll take a look at the charts, kind of double check that, of course, with some momentum indicators, but generally speaking, when it comes to open interest, it is absolutely one of those things we want to pay attention to and note that it is on the downswing. But if we look at smaller time frames here, we can see that it is actually starting to increase. Okay, so with open interest coming up, that's a very positive sign. That's telling us that we could actually see a push to 22,800 in the relative near future. Okay, so that is essentially what that looks like here. We'll talk about volume a little bit later, but volume is essentially was on the decline rather. A lot of volume was transferred at this one exact moment. We saw that happen on Thursday. That was kind of a crazy nonsensical situation, and it's slowly increasing from there. But again, a lot of volume spikes like that. You want to pay attention to those as well. But generally speaking, that's kind of what the overall sense is there on the back end. Now, what does the front end look like here? Well, what are we looking at for regular markets? Okay, let's start with that first. Big surprise, traditional markets are still doing well. Okay, and as I mentioned before, with those doing good, Bitcoin should inevitably have a positive day. All right, so again, there's no guarantees that Bitcoin's going to continue to ascend, but an open interest increasing on the smaller time frames, plus traditional markets doing well, there's no reason why Bitcoin shouldn't be excelling or moving towards that resistance level at 22,800. Okay, so traditional markets are looking good. Okay, we like to see that. That's a very positive sign. It's kind of a backbone to success for Bitcoin. While there's not a direct pairing, it's absolutely important to have that. We can see also here that the MACD is starting to dissipate a little bit. While it is still swinging to the downside, of course, it's starting to lose this momentum, which could be a positive sign. Same thing here as well with us kind of progressing sideways on the RSI, telling us there's really a lot of indecision at this point. In truth, there's no momentous indication of either direction at this level, at least on the daily for the moment, with such a large drop and a straight sideways for 3 days. Okay, it's normal for this to occur. What we do want to take a quick peek at, though, is the moving averages. We can see the 200-day set moving average is averaging itself out right here at that support level at about 19,800, 19,700. So 20,000 as a round number is a key support area. Okay, so I don't think we're going to see that tested in the immediate future, but if we were to drop down that low, that should work as a support. But all in all, we are below the 200-day set moving average, below the 50-day SMA, and that is traditionally a resistance level. So until we can break back up above that, we can expect the near future to not be continuing upwards significantly. And what I mean by that is we got to break this descending trend first. You see these lower highs that are occurring? Hypothetically, we continue to get rejected, we're going to go down. Okay. So ultimately, in order to break this descending trend, and I teach this in my trading academy, is to ensure that you establish higher lows. Okay, now previously we were establishing higher lows, right? But we are also printing a pretty obvious bear flag pattern. So in that sense, as long as we don't print a very similar pattern and we create higher lows and potentially higher highs, we should be able to break this descending trend. Again, the key is to be able to break this trend that we're in right now to the upside so we can start working our way back up. That is the first step in the right direction. So for lack of better terms here, the 4 hour, it's hard to say specifically what it looks like because it's all over the place just based on it going straight sideways for the weekend. But for the most part, we have a slight amount of momentum here, which isn't much at all. And of course, we're below 50 on the RSI. So in truth, pretty much a wash here on the 4 hour. There's really nothing indicative telling us that we should, take a long or hold a short. I felt comfortable taking a long position. We already hit our profit target as well. Our first one took some healthy profits, and that was on Saturday. Now, again, we caught this little wick here, of course, that turned right around. Okay, so in truth, there's a lot of manipulation. You just want to be very careful trading the market right now. So a lot of cases, I would just recommend patience and making sure that you are not over trading. But if you can see here, we're seeing a retest of this level here, right about 22,600. We will inevitably break that, probably come up, retest that as a support, and continue higher. Really common characteristic in ascending trends, but at this point, it's roughly what we're looking at. Okay. So again, that is kind of the overall sense here. Let's do one last summary here for the cloud and kind of take a look and call it a day, because we can see here with the cloud, and again, this indicator isn't phenomenal when we're range bound. Okay, so keep that in mind. We have been range bound for about 48 hours or more, almost 72 hours. So with us breaking above the cloud here, it's not like it's a pivotal moment. Okay, keep that in mind. It is good that we're above that because that does help us understand we're on the right side of the tracks, at least tentatively. But we need a lot more than just this to give us confirmation. So for me, I typically like to look at smaller time frames here, just say 15-minute, for example. And in the 15-minute time frame, what we want to look at here would be our CC Golden indicator. And this indicator is a good indicator to kind of help you understand where to take longs and or shorts. Now I'm going to be releasing this on my website here within the next ideally the next couple of weeks. We got in the final stages here, but generally speaking, what it does, it tells you when to enter the market and when to exit. Okay, so hypothetically we took entry there, we would be up roughly about 1% right now. Well, I guess it depends on where you're at. We'd actually be more like 0.5%. Again, the market is moving sideways and kind of being stupid. So for lack of better terms, it's a good indicator to tell you when to sell. So the price is coming down, when to buy, price is going up. Okay, so again, really cool little stuff there. I will teach that, of course, later, a little bit more so in detail as to what that looks like. But that is something I usually look for on confirmation. And right now we don't have it, okay? So we came up here, we obviously got rejected here, probably over 70 on the RSI, as you can see, and then the price comes back down. Okay, so ultimately not the greatest indication of a long or a short position because we are mostly range bound in a very tight margin. Like 22,400, 22,600, that's not a very large range to be trading. Okay, so again, patience is key at this point. I think we got to wait for the market movers to move the market at this point and kind of go from there. But for the moment, I think that we are in pretty good shape here. We should see a slow increase, likely a break of this 22,600, this tentative little resistance to retest 22.8 and then see what happens from there. There's a great chance we'll get rejected at 22,800 first and then retest later. It's a very common characteristic. So we'll see here. The key that I want you to kind of pay attention to or make sure to note is that with this time frame here, we want to break above this descending trend. So the end of this week will tell us a lot. If we can go straight sideways for this whole week, I'd actually be happy with that because then we'd naturally be above that descending trend. We'd have potential to come upwards, but this trend is pretty strong right now and it's absolutely pushing us down. So just something to be mindful of. Hopefully that is adequate for you and this was descriptive enough. Let me know if you have any questions, concerns, of course, comment below. Reach out to me, obviously, if you'd like to, become a better trader. CryptoCash.tech is a site, and you'll make sure that you get registered for some of our upcoming trading events with our sponsored exchanges. Check that out. All right, thanks again so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.